Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to talk about the balancing act, the weird catch-22 that happens when we have events like the Horus Heresy Weekender and websites like the Warhammer Community site. I enjoyed the Horus Heresy Weekender, in as much as you can enjoy something you weren't able to go to, but I was able to sit here and get all the information I wanted. I was able to get great pictures of the stuff that was being shown off. I mean, we got a really nice picture of Sanguinius with his new base, we got the new Space Wolf stuff. We kind of got everything we wanted out of that, even if you didn't go. The problem is that whilst I enjoyed what I saw from that, I've since been reading concerns, shall we put it, not unfounded concerns either, from people who actually attended the event, and to be honest, there was quite a bit of annoyance around, firstly, organisation, which is a subject for another video because by the sound of it, it was not well organised at all. But there was also the issue of paying £75 to attend an event, and then finding that if you hadn't paid £75 and you had a mobile phone with an internet connection, you could in fact get all the information you were due to get from that event, including pictures of the models, before you had actually seen them yourself, having paid the entry fee. There were pictures of Sanguinius on the Warhammer Community site before the people at the event were actually able to see him in the flesh. There are, accounts of people literally looking at their phone and going, "Oh, hey, the thing we're due to see, look at that." That's not really ideal, and I did see a few kind of comments from people like, why bother? What is the point of this going? Why are they revealing this before we get a chance to even see it? Like, what is the purpose of this? Why are they kind of spoiling their own announcement? It's a weird kind of catch-22 situation. It's a weird balancing act that I don't think they can ever actually get right, because firstly, the Warhammer Community site it's great. I like it. I read it all the time. I like the people who write there. It's good content, and it, to be honest, feeds the eternal hunger for more plastic crack in a way that not much else does, to be fair. And that's because they do it so that you feel that hunger all the more. The Warhammer Community site is something that has been asked for quite a while. It is something that I'm glad is there, and it is a way for Games Workshop to actually communicate with the fan base, which is exactly what you want out of it, but it's also a marketing tool primarily. When you are seeing rule previews and being told if you want to see all this and more, then get the codex, it's because it's a method of selling you the codex. If you see, model previews along with rules from that, if you want to see what this thing does completely, then buy the model. That's kind of the point of the whole thing. I mean, if you understand that going in, then it's a case of, yeah, of course it is. I don't think that's something that is 100% clear to absolutely everyone, but I think most of us are basically on the same wavelength. Yeah, you're providing good content for me to read, and I'm reading it on the understanding that essentially you are there to push me towards the Games Workshop site so I can buy the stuff you are talking about. It's fine. It's a good way of doing it. At least they're actually providing something as opposed to just a flat-out thing of, here's a model, buy it every time, which is dry, boring, and, well, kind of what Games Workshop used to do, in a way, anyway. It also means that the Warhammer Community site kind of needs to be very much on top of things, which is where things like the Horus Heresy Weekender and all of these events have a little bit of a stumbling block. See, you're paying your money to go and hear about new products, to go and see new products. You want to be the person who is there seeing Sanguinius in the flesh first. And you are seeing the model, but everyone sitting at home has got to see it before you. The simple reason for that is that Warhammer Community site is still something that is used to drive. It's still something that is used to drum up interest. And essentially, the more traffic, the more hits, the more attention it gets, the more likely people are to go and buy stuff. That's just how that works. It's how it's always worked. But you get these events, and you get people like, for instance, Leaky Cheese, who goes to these events. He takes a bunch of great pictures of the models, of the minis. There are loads of people doing this. And you're suddenly in a position whereby you want people to go there and have the experience of seeing that model, seeing it in the flesh, being able to see it with their own two eyes, not through a screen. You want to, they should be getting something for their money. But they're also going to take copious numbers of pictures and they're going to post them online. And those are going to circulate all over the place. And if they circulate all over the place, when the Warhammer Community site puts up a picture of whatever it is, that's not going to get quite as much attention as it was before because people have already seen it. Yeah, great, you've got a nice studio-lit picture of Sanguinius from one angle, but if I go to Leaky's Twitter account, for instance, I can see whatever model from 3 different angles, and he's also going to tell me how much it costs, which is more information than I'm getting over there. So why would I go over there? The problem is, you cannot have a live event like that. You cannot have something where people pay for entry on the premise of seeing new models, seeing new rules, being able to ask questions, and have a community site that doesn't update with information literally as it comes out or before. The two aren't compatible because at one of them you will have a bunch of people writing down everything you say and taking pictures of everything you do so that they can share it online. And as soon as they do that, the value of doing something similar on your own site falls dramatically. So what do? Well, you can't time it perfectly so that the second a good picture appears online of whatever you're going to release, you then put up an article. That's not how that works at all. The only real way to be safe about it, and the only real way to ensure that you get all the attention for this announcement, is to put your stuff up first, which is what the Warhammer Community site did. The downside to that is people have paid 75 quid to come and see the thing that you have just put on a screen in front of them that they could have stayed at home to see. Now, to some people, that doesn't matter. Some people, that's not the issue. You know, it's a case of, well, alright, it kind of sucks, but I was going to come anyway, I'm going to get to see the things I want to see anyway. Half of it is the social aspect, the other half is a model, so no, I still got what I wanted out of the event. But there is definitely I would say the justified feeling that if you're paying that much money, if you are giving them that much cash to be there in person, it would be kind of nice if you got to see this thing even marginally before the people who were just sat at home. You could maybe argue that that's a little bit entitled, but I don't really think it is, because the fact is that we have done nothing special, nothing different. Nothing has changed for us to get this information. When it came to the Horus Heresy stuff from that weekend, I sat down and I went, okay, what have we got? Oh, Warhammer Community's updated. Awesome. I like that. And then I turned the browser off and went and did something else. That was my experience of that day. I didn't pay 75 quid for that. I didn't pay anything for that. I just sat here and looked at it and then went and did something else. But there are people who spent 75 quid, who booked a hotel, who drove God knows how long, who sat on a train for how many hours, just to see what was going to be coming up soon. And what they got was something that people who made no effort and gave nothing got anyway before them. If you pay for something, that doesn't mean you just have exclusive access to it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you pay the 75 quid to go to the Horus Heresy Weekender, only you are allowed to see that information. No one else gets it. No one else knows what the fuck is going on. Obviously, that doesn't work, and that would also fly in the face of the, quite frankly, nice community feeling of a bunch of people who know their shit, taking pictures, asking questions, and telling people what they've learnt on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, all of that. That is a valuable side to those events. I genuinely think that that is something that kind of draws the community together quite a bit. It shouldn't be exclusive. It shouldn't be that only they know and only they are able to give out this information. But at the same time, maybe there could be a better balance between that and sitting in Bugman's or whatever and looking at your phone and finding that, oh, they've already announced all the shit that they were going to announce to us in half an hour's time. And look at these great pictures that I can see. And then you actually get to the thing and you want to look at the models and you're having to peer around someone and look over someone's head and you can't quite get to it and it's like, oh yeah, they look good in the, yeah, nice. Hang on, let me get a better picture. Oh, I can just draw up the Warhammer Community site. Oh, there we go, I can just zoom in. Lovely, great. There's got to be a better balance than that. It is a bit of a catch-22 in that you have to, if the Warhammer Community site wants to be on top of things and wants to get the majority of people looking at their stuff, they've got to put stuff up early before other people do it. But at the same time, you can't charge people 75 quid and then have them just see things that they could have seen at home without having to go anywhere before they've even seen the thing they paid to see. That's not a great way of doing things either, because either way, you're going to be pissing people off. I don't know what the solution is to this at all. I've got no idea. But it is something that perhaps does need looking at, because either way there is going to be dissatisfaction, there's going to be frustration. Charging for something that people might as well have not gone to see because they didn't need to is not great. charging and then releasing the information that they were going to find out an hour before they even find it out themselves is not great. There has to be a better point whereby you can have people go to these events, have something interesting planned, have some good stuff for them, and not make it so that they find that information out before you even open your mouth. There's got to be a better way of balancing, and I don't know what that way is. Maybe wait an hour after they've had whatever seminar, wait an hour after they've had whatever, exhibition or whatever. But then again, that doesn't work either, because then you get a bunch of people putting the pictures online, and so the impact that the Warhammer Community announcement has is lessened. I don't know. All I know is that these things are supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be enjoyable, and they're supposed to give you something that you would otherwise not get for the money. That is the whole point of paying for an experience. And from a lot of the accounts I've read, that's not what happened. And that's something that you don't want to get into the habit of. That's something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, because if it's not, it's just going to get worse and worse, and you'll start seeing a fall in attendance, and you'll start seeing people go to their first event and go, "Oh, I could have just stayed at home, what was the point?" That's not a good rut to get into. I don't think they're in that rut. I think that it might just be like a case of bad timing this time round, but it's something that definitely needs considering in future. And if you are going to go to something like this, and if you're going to spend the money, I think you actually have to sit down and say, would I mind if the thing I went to see, if that information was already out there before I even got to see it? Because if the answer is yes, you don't want to go, because there wouldn't be any point, because that part of the experience wouldn't exist for you, and it would make it not a fun time, essentially. It's a weird problem, and it's something that I think it's something that happens with a lot of anything that relies on, especially online marketing or anything that's community heavy. It's a case of trying to please everyone and trying to make sure everyone gets the information, but also you're trying to charge for it. So how do you weave those two together in a way that people who aren't necessarily able to make those events don't feel like they're not being told anything, whilst those people who are at the events feel like they're being told more than those who didn't go? It's a really tricky thing to try and balance out. I'm kind of hoping that whatever happens for the next event, the balance is a little better than it was for the Horus Heresy Weekender. Anyway, that was very rambly, but there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click any of the things, Patreon video, subscribe, all that shit. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to, and I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.